All right, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. Welcome to our public webinar, the third public event for the More Space Main Street 2.0 project. My name is Cassie Hoperich. I'm the Director of Planning and Economic Development for Downtown Houston Plus. And I'd like to introduce my colleague who's joining us today and is the lead of this project, Jackie Gonzalez-Garcia, our planning manager here at Downtown Houston Plus. Thank you all for your contributions to this project by attending our workshops and meeting with us one-on-one. We hope your ideas and perspectives are reflected in the conceptual design we're going to walk through today. So before we would dive into the presentation, we want to situate who we are, what is Downtown Houston Plus, and why we're leading this work. So Downtown Houston Plus consists of these three organizations you can see here. The Management District is the organization in downtown Houston that cares for the public realm by maintaining it, programming it, and promoting downtown Houston as well. Things that we take care of include Market Square Park, Trebley Park, the thousands of trees and sidewalk blocks around downtown, as well as the fountains that you see around downtown. The Redevelopment Authority is a tax increment reinvestment zone, or TIRZ. This is the arm of our organization that can support and lead investment projects in downtown, including housing and public infrastructure like this project. Central Houston is an organization that represents businesses and organizations across downtown. So these organizations are all working together under the Downtown Houston Plus name to make More Space Main Street 2.0 possible. If you have more questions about how this project will come to life after I explain a little bit, please save your questions till the end. So our management district and the Downtown Redevelopment Authority will work together to fund the design of this project, including the conceptual design and the next phase, which will be called the detailed design and engineering phase of the project. The Redevelopment Authority will then construct the project. And then after the project is completed, there'll be an additional level of service by the downtown district. We'll talk about that during this presentation. So with that, I've just talked about sort of one partner in this project. The other huge, important, critical partner to this project is the city. So I'd like to introduce David Fields, our Chief Transportation Planner for Houston, to say a few words.
Thanks, Cassie. Good evening, everybody. David Fields from the City of Houston. Just 1 second of background. Mayor Turner came in with a vision to change the transportation paradigm. And part of that was a challenge to look at how we are using our right-of-way space, where our roads are. During COVID, Main Street became kind of our first test case for maybe our roads don't just need to be dedicated to moving vehicles. Maybe there are other higher uses in certain occasions. We did the test case during COVID, which was Main Street, More Space Main Street 1.0. And what we realized was there was no transportation negative effect, but there was a huge quality of life and economic impact by converting the vehicle space to activity space. We're very happy that the Downtown Houston Plus has been partnering with us. City Council voted in March to make this a permanent installation. And we're glad you're all with us tonight to see the unveiling of what this will look like. So with my thanks to all our partners, I'll turn it over to Jackie Gonzalez, the Planning and Design Manager.
Thanks, David. So Main Street is actually ideally situated to become the signature centerpiece of downtown Houston. Its connection to the bayous, the history of the city, the theaters, arenas, and commerce is really just unmatched. With its historic human-scale architecture, retail density, and adjacency to the light rail, it's set up to not only be a place that people can easily connect through, but a place that people want to be. Over half of the downtown residential population lives within a 15-minute walking radius of the project. So this project really has an immediate audience of residents and office workers to tap into, but we also see the potential of a greater regional draw as it evolves into an activated pedestrian promenade. At the onset and throughout the project, the preservation of Main Street's quality and character has always been top of mind to us. Main Street has gotten where it is today through iteration and building on past successes. And speaking to agencies and stakeholders, many of the same themes came up and of what is desired for the next version of Main Street. People and businesses alike really want Main Street to be a destination that attracts more people, makes people want to stay. They want a place that's inviting and comfortable and an environment that is safe and welcoming to all. So these goals have really been the guiding principles that have shaped the design that we're sharing with you today. To speak to the design, I'd like to pass the reins to Brian Chambers. Brian is a principal at Design Workshop. He, along with Leah Chambers of Outside Voices, have served as the consultant team for the project and really have played a critical role in creating the design we're sharing with you today.
Thank you, Jackie. When we start talking about design for Main Street, we always start by reminding ourselves of its history. From the horse and buggy to trolleys to cars to the light rail, this street, probably more than any other in Houston, seems to have reinvented itself over time. And in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, it did so again. As we all know, 2021, the city closed some blocks of Main Street so that businesses could use the space for socially distanced outdoor activities. And then in March of this year, City Council voted to permanently close these 7 blocks in order to create a transit and pedestrian only space. Today, we have spent the last 8 months collaborating with stakeholders, business owners, Metro, city staff, members of the community to get what we're calling this basis of design that will enable the project to happen. And so from here, the project moves into a detailed design and engineering in 2024, and construction 2025, and anticipated completion in time for Houston to host the World Cup in 2026. So very exciting. Our question was, how are we going to get this basis of design that will launch the project? And in order to do that, we decided to lean heavily on engagement, an engagement first process. So over the course of the last 8 months, we have facilitated 20 different stakeholder groups and agencies and hosted 8 hours of public workshops, talked with over 300 people, and received over 1,300 points of feedback at these various workshops, all to hear the needs and the vision for this street that we're designing for. And we're not done yet. Just today, we met with additional stakeholders, and that will continue. Downtown Houston will do this as the project moves forward, and you'll continue to see more as we go. So 2 public workshops were hosted outside and actually on Main Street, which was a lot of fun. I'll go back to that real quick. And so it was in front of Little Dipper's Bar, and it was a great opportunity to showcase the activity on the street, dream about the future, and capture the thoughts and ideas from passersby, including out-of-towners who were maybe just here for the Astros game, and we roped them in to get their feedback. So through those conversations, we developed a cohesive vision, built relationships with Main Street businesses, and worked through, maybe this is the most important in some ways, worked through the technical health and safety aspects of the design with critical agencies like fire and police and Metro and Centerpoint. And it was in some of these meetings where we rolled up our sleeves and we learned a lot about what they need to fight a fire and the exact dimensions they might need for the width of the street, et cetera. So those were really important for us. From start to finish, this project has had such a positive response from everyone. Community members have shown a lot of excitement. Agencies and businesses have demonstrated a strong willingness to collaborate with us and work together to make this project a reality. So the key considerations that came out of all that engagement are listed here. The first is maintenance and operations. People really liked the ideas that we started showing in early workshops, but immediately started asking, who is going to take care of this? There are maintenance concerns on Main Street today, and these new spaces and furnishings can only be high quality if they're maintained well. The second is about accessibility, and as you probably have already started wondering, if we now get to use this roadway space for pedestrians, what do we do about the curb? If we keep it in place, it is not accessible for those with disabilities and becomes a tripping hazard. So we needed to figure that out. The third one was really about placemaking, and Main Street today can feel empty. You see these images of the temporary spaces, and during the day, they just don't feel appealing, and they have a strong visual identity that we wanted to flip and turn into a sense of place and vibrancy. So that led to these 3 big shifts. In order to address those considerations, this is what we have found is foundational to the project itself. So the first is the maintenance question. And Downtown Management District agreed to manage this pedestrian promenade. If you aren't familiar with the management district, they're the ones who maintain the quality of Market Square Park, just a block away from here. And Metro, what you see in that pink is Metro continues to maintain its line in the center. But HDMD will now manage and maintain the entire space from the Metro line to the building face. And this allows us and unlocks really for us the ability to have a cohesive, well-maintained, high-quality environment for Main Street. The second issue, accessibility. In order to create that seamless walking and rolling surface, the project is going to have to raise the roadway to be the same level as the sidewalk. This allows for existing drainage to be maintained and for the final project design to use the entire space from Metro to building face as a flexible zone for walking, sitting, planting, and events. The third shift is about placemaking, and the design integrates a series of outdoor rooms along the entire length of the 7 blocks that could be common socializing spaces, outdoor dining for restaurants, planting, gathering spaces. This would activate the street all the way down, connecting all of Main Street businesses together, all the way down to Allen's Landing and Buffalo Bayou. And these 3 shifts enable the new Main Street experience. This graphic is an illustrative example of what this connected and continuous street could offer, from community gathering places to art installations, to a connection to the bayou, play spaces, and pop-up events. You can start to, if you squint your eye, this is a little small, but you can start to see that rhythm of communal seating spaces and outdoor dining, some art elements, little pocket parks, shade canopies, the festoon lighting, all of which is contributing to what we heard business owners, residents, visitors, really almost everyone say they're looking for, which is this branded district identity. I want to go somewhere, one place. I want to be able to tell my friend or family member to come here and they can see what Houston is all about. So a little quick zoom in here to show a highlight of a couple features. The first is the opportunity to connect into our bayou system. We all know and love the great work happening along our bayous and trail systems, and we want to make sure that we leverage that connection to create a Main Street that is truly Houston. This is where Houston began, at Allen's Landing, and it's a place like no other. We really want to leverage that. The next is safe crossings. This is another detail that is really critical to the success of the whole project and how we create these safe crossings. Our approach here will be similar to what we see further south on Main near Walker and the water feature. Essentially, we're working with the existing crosswalks where they are today, but we're removing the large curved radiuses and instead squaring up those corners to create safer pedestrian spaces for people to wait while they're crossing, sometimes with planters, sometimes with bollards, and that depends on emergency access. And now we'll show a few of these before and after images that really show what the transformation is. So today, this is at 320 Main. You can see what some of the issues throughout the 7-block study area are. There's narrow sidewalks, obstacles, and a limited accessibility. There's also pockets of vacancy and activity only during certain hours of the day. And where we want to go with that is to create this, a vibrant, fully accessible promenade that welcomes people and activity to the street. You see these active amenities invite new retail. It's really a catalyst for tenants and supports the existing tenants that are there. In addition, the maintenance, the overlay over all of this is that maintenance is controlled by the district and they care for all the greenery and the seating to make sure that it's always in great shape. Here's another look. This is 600 Main. This is what we're calling an opportunity site. And there are a few of these around the study area, but here we have a single building that occupies the entire block. There are, again, pockets of these ground floor vacancies. And when we were working with fire, they were very helpful and told us about how on this particular kind of block, you can fight the fires from side streets. And so that gives us even more opportunity for the drive lane itself to convert. And what you see is this transformation where a celebrated anchor activation site is possible, where the district can provide the capacity for pop-up markets or seasonal events, And this really becomes a draw for those who live and work downtown, but also for visitors. And this is what that could look like, just imagined overhead, how there is this green buffer between Metro, creating a safe sort of edge for tables and chairs and activation, and new shade and canopy as well. And so wrapping up here, we believe that Main Street is the anchor of the city, and this project will create an identifiable, desirable destination that demonstrates the best downtown has to offer. It will be a place to live, work, or visit any day or night, weekday, weekend, season, and experience the vibrancy and connectedness of a world-class city. And as we have talked to so many folks on the street, we've received a lot of great feedback. So many people are excited about this as a planning process, but even more excited in it moving into reality. And so to that point, on our engagement so far, and many thanks to Leah and Outside Voices and team, we have just seen incredible support. So you can see here, 99% of people surveyed excited or very excited, which is incredible. And then 80% of people believe this project will draw more people downtown, which, if you remember Jackie reading our goals, which was one of our most important goals. So to that point, I want to remind us again, as we mentioned earlier, that this concludes our basis of design phase. But from here, we're going to be bringing in detailed design and engineering and any necessary ordinance changes that might be necessary over the next year. And then we're planning on construction in 2025 and open for World Cup in 2026. So with that, I'll end here and allow Q&A.
Thanks so much, Brian. This would be a great time to pop in questions to the chat. I can already see some coming through. It looks like we have one here that I'll toss to you, Brian. How will the street be raised to the sidewalk level? Please share a little bit more detail about that.
Sure. So there's a few different ways that could happen, and that will be studied in the engineering phase. But our first idea was to actually use what we have there today. There's existing pavers, and we could take the pavers out. We can put in a new subgrade. And what we have to solve then is the drainage. So there would be a trench drain on both sides of what is the drive lane today. One trench drain is receiving water that comes from the Metro easement. So all the water flows in the exact same way that it does today. We wouldn't be pushing water in a direction that it's not already going. And then we have a trench drain where the curb is today. And so that would connect into our existing gutter system. And in that way, we have to size. Part of the engineering project is to make sure we figure out how to size that trench drain and what any other pieces and components that might be necessary. But as a conceptual level, that is the idea of how we raise it and create a seamless walking environment.
Thank you. I will address the comment in the chat, which is a great comment. I hope street vendors are allowed here. We definitely think that as part of the next phase, while we will also, of course, be working on a detailed design and engineering, next year will also be the time for our organization to sort out what will management of this new promenade look like? How will we enable all types of programming, pop-ups, and other activations, including street vendors? And so we encourage you to stay tuned, to visit our website to sign up for more information about the project so that we can share updates about our management plan once that evolves. As a cyclist, I was hoping this question would come up. And I think, Brian, you would be really well suited to answer this. And Jackie, I know you have perspective too, but of course, David, I think you could speak to this both about this location and beyond. The question is there consideration for bicyclists? I like the Metro being right there, but especially since there are many bars in the area, I try not to drive downtown at night. So consideration for bicyclists. You want to talk through that?
Sure, I can start, and David, or anyone else take it from there. We did consider bikes in the very beginning. That was something that we looked at, and we wanted to study it. I'm a bike rider myself, and so I was very interested in it. And what we ultimately came down to, we studied where it could fit. Would it be on one side of the street or the other side of the street? And we realized there are trade-offs to whatever you do. And it essentially, while we still have a lot of space, there's actually not. I mean, when you take Metro out of it, there's very little space on each side to work with. And so there was a trade-off about priorities. One of the things we went back to was when City Council said that they were making this more space program permanent. It was a agreement to limit the through traffic. That was, of course, including cars, but ultimately we decided that that was also part of bikes too. And so we want to encourage bikes to come here as a destination, and we're offering, bike racks and different accessibility from side streets. And it's going to be a place you can walk your bike through, of course. But ultimately, the trade-off of having bike lanes here took away from the biggest idea, which is we want this to be a place for people, and we want this to be a place for activation. And so we ended up with the design that we have now.
If I could add just a little bit more to that. So in the same way that we realized that Main Street wasn't needed for a transportation purpose for cars, we also realized we want as many places as possible for multimodal access, but this one wouldn't necessarily be the best place for access for bicycles. We have the protected bike lane on Austin Street, a couple of blocks away. We're continuing to build out our network of high comfort bike facilities. You all know we're over 400 miles today with another 150 miles in planning, design, and construction citywide right now. So at some point we have to say, what is the street better for? And if we can provide bicycle access somewhere pretty close by in parallel, it really opens this up for that people space.
Just another reminder, if you have any questions to please pop them into the chat. Another good question. Shade. So what is the plan with shade and these outdoor spaces that we hope people will be spending time in? Brian, would you like to speak to the sort of the thinking we've done around that? And I'd be happy to chime in as well.
Sure, I can start. So the shade is a tricky one. Everybody wants shade. We all know we need it. We're trying to figure out how to add it. One of the things we learned when we were talking with Metro is we have to stay out of safety zones. It's one of the sort of core principles of the basis of design because of the catenary system that powers the light rail. So the good news is that it's not everywhere, and we do have pockets of space where we can put either trees or a shade structure to some degree. And there's other considerations for visibility and whatnot. But we have shown, if you look at the plan, or if you go back and see some of these renderings, that we have added trees and we have added shade structures. And so we're definitely mindful of that. And I think that gets a lot more real in the next phase. But what we're trying to do is create a rhythm of them in some unique way and branded way, so that this really becomes identifiable as a district because of the way that we do that. But absolutely, shade's important.
Yeah. And I'll just add that I think that there's also an opportunity, should there be a way in which we could erect umbrellas or other very temporary structures that could be taken up or down quite quickly. To the earlier point I was making about our organization sorting out our management plan for the space next year, shade is certainly a consideration that we have not only for Main Street, but for other critical thoroughfares for downtown that connect folks between our parks, our retail clusters, our stadiums, our theaters. So loud and clear, we would love to find some shade solutions that are both permanent, but also can be put up and down thanks to the support of our staff. Two questions. I think we could answer both of these sort of with the same response. So I'll read them out loud. Will private businesses continue to be able to use this space, such as dining tables? And how would those agreements work? Will downtown also be programming this space in addition to maintenance? And so I think related, your question, Vivian, would this allow restaurants to expand outdoor dining? Yes, that is our intention. Our intention is to not only, I'll address at first businesses and how they can operate. Our intention is to work with existing ordinances and future modifications to allow for an expanded presence of businesses that front Main Street to utilize that space. Of course, with our level of maintenance that we would be providing, we would help to organize that and how that plays out into the space. But our intention wholly and completely is to make this an amenity for existing businesses and new businesses that would come to Main Street. That's so much of why we want to do this, is to help out the small businesses there that are already bringing people downtown. In terms of programming the space in addition to maintenance, absolutely. So the renderings that you see have market stands and food kiosks and possibly buskers or other music events. I think that considering the work that we do at Market Square Park is a helpful way to frame what would be possible on Main Street. Our Director of Engagement and Marketing, Ann Taylor's on the call, who is our fearless leader when it comes to programming our beloved parks and public spaces. And with the support of that team and their vision and the work that they know how to just do fabulously across downtown, we would be able to sort of bake that in to the management plan that we would work out next year.
I think I also just wanted to add one thing. With the intended management structure, this would also allow us to activate and have a better use for what is vacant space space outside vacant businesses today.
Right. Thanks for adding that, Jackie. All right, we have a new question. I see some great elements here, and I'm excited to see this come to fruition. Is the design team exploring any sustainable approaches to tackling drainage? Brian, would you like to take that question?
Sure. You saw, I think the first part is really meeting the standards of today. So this is a roundabout way of getting to your answer, but the main thing we wanted to do in terms of sustainability is not create more of a water problem first and foremost. So we want to make sure that whatever we do in the future condition is handling water as well, if not better, than what's there today. And then after that, I think we have an opportunity to explore other ways. There's some renderings in there. If you saw the overview of the 600 block that implies kind of a long green, almost an extension of the bayou, which is something that we heard on a lot of workshops. People really liked that sort of sinuous curve that implies the bayou and draws you back to what makes Houston so special. And so in that way, yes, we do want to continue to explore because we're right here, how can this become also a green street, right? And handle water in sustainable ways and potentially open things up. But that is, I think, the second piece that is going to be explored in a later phase.
Great question, though. I want to give another moment to folks to think of questions. And in the meantime, anybody on our team, any sort of additional thoughts you would like to expand on? We do have a new question here, wayfinding signs. So maybe if your thought touches on that, excellent. If not, we'll get to that next. Leah, I see you unmuting.
Yeah, sorry, I waited until the very last moment. So as heading up engagement, I just wanted to share that a lot of these issues and great questions that are coming up are ones that were brought up repeatedly by a lot of the amazing stakeholders and businesses and members of the public that we got to hear from. So I just want to say it's been an incredible process of back and forth between stakeholders, business owners, agencies, and we have experienced such amazing collaboration with those agencies as we have tried to work on this process. And so it's been a great one to see a common buy-in for this vision and being able to see where we can take it. So, and these issues are definitely going to be addressed as we move forward.
Thanks, Leah. And I think a lot of the questions too, because we've heard them, some of them before are phrased differently, or they echo certain, aspirations or concerns. I think this is a good, sort of a call to action for our team is to put together a helpful Q&A on our website so that you all can access information whenever you'd like, and not just at community events like this. Okay, so we had a question here about wayfinding signs. I'll just answer briefly, and then Jackie or Brian, feel free to add to this. But yes, we intend to address wayfinding, absolutely. Wayfinding signs are a practice of our organization at street level and actually within the tunnels. So it is something that our organization already has capacity for and is very interested in taking on, both to help people find their way around Main Street and to destinations around Main Street, but to also brand the space and add a bit of identity through wayfinding, create a sense of accomplish some placemaking with them as well. And I will add that, our goal is to have this be a destination for people both around downtown that could walk there, bike there, but also people that get to downtown by car. And so our wayfinding also will address parking, and we will be thinking about that absolutely in the next phase of our project, is to make sure that driving downtown and getting to More Space Main Street 2.0, or the Main Street Promenade we're working on, is a seamless experience. But Jackie, you lead our wayfinding work right now. So is there anything you'd like to add?
I will just say that wayfinding, we have considered as part of a critical point of a critical component of this. And it's something that we plan to further define and massage through the detailed design and engineering phase.
Thank you. We have another good question here about existing patio spaces that are today connected directly to businesses or storefronts on Main Street. I think Jackie and Brian, this would be a great question for you all to respond to, especially given all of the direct outreach that you've done with businesses along Main Street.
I'll actually kick this to Leah, because I know she's done some very specific research on our current ordinance and how that could extend forward. So
Sure, I'll kick it over. So I'll accept the kick over. As we engaged with business owners along Main Street, there was a lot of discussion back and forth about how the district can partner with business owners to find the optimal solution for how to enhance their business. So I don't think there's there's one single answer to each of those. It depends on location. It depends on the business. We did find some commonalities with some of the business types. For example, a lot of the restaurants that have Table service, obviously having space adjacent to their businesses is really critical and really important. So taking that into consideration as we move forward. Others, such as some of the bar owners that we talked about, having space right up against the building was not as important to a lot of them. And so there was some openness to having maybe more communal space that could be open 24/7, that could benefit them, but didn't have to be solely operated by that particular business. So the answer is that the district will partner with the business owners to determine the best option for that particular site and business. And then Jackie, I can kick it back over to you if you want to add anything.
And I think that was a great answer, Leah. No, I think you painted a good picture for it. This is very much, we see the future of this project as being a very close partnership between the district and each business and adjacent property owner.
There is collaboration, that's for sure. So we hope that that's coming through loud and clear. We have a question now about what would hours of operations look like? Will events only be during the weekend, or will there be events throughout the week? Jackie, I feel like I've answered a number of these. Do you want to sort of reinforce some of the points that we have touched on in terms of our programming commitments?
Absolutely. So we intend this to be an outdoor promenade, a place for people to come and be active, not only like as we do at Market Square Park. We have activities there going on, or activations going on, not only on the weekends like our farmers market, but we also have music series throughout the week. We have yoga series, and we plan and intend to have activations or the use of space that really best suits and works with the adjacent businesses. We do want to activate the space. We'll have a presence in our safety guides. Our clean and safe team will be there, and we really intend it to be a managed space that's used all the time. And hours of operations is kind of a interesting question, just because this will be an outdoor public space. It still will be used by people during the day, but also by patrons of bars or other activities throughout the night. So it will still be open and accessible, but we hope to make this sort of a more active space in the day as it kind of currently is at night right now.
Thank you. So with new amenities and more pedestrian traffic, how does safety and security look like going forward on the promenade? I will speak to that one on behalf of our organization. As we've referred to, the Market Square Park, Trebley Park are wonderful spaces to see in real time how we care for a public space. The role that our ambassadors play, our security teams play, our relationship with Houston PD play out. We feel as though those are solid demonstrations of what our organization is willing and will commit to when it comes to the Main Street Promenade once it is up and running and activated. Our true aspiration is to make this as welcoming and inclusive as a place as possible. And so we will follow lessons learned from the parks to best staff and situate more space Main Street 2.0. And the next question here is, any thought of extending to incorporate Main Street Square to better activate that area? Jackie, do you feel comfortable speaking to the openness to that extension?
Yes. So it is something we have thought and are in consideration of. Yes. I won't say it's something that is fully happening or not happening, but it is something that our organizations have been in consideration of.
It's something that the city and Downtown Houston Plus are actively working to figure out together.
I was just going to add something back to the safety question. Something we heard from Jen and some of our HPD stakeholders was that today there's a certain level of pedestrian activity here, and they have a certain level of service based on that activity. What Jen was communicating to us is that as this becomes much more of a place for people to go, and we're doubling, tripling the amount of pedestrians that are now on the drive lane, et cetera, and using this space more often, that they match the level of security and just people on the street. So you can get some assurance that it's not just sort of a district thing, but from the city's standpoint, they're recognizing that as this becomes more of a destination, they will also match their own level of service to this. So thought that was worth mentioning.
Thanks, Brian. I think also related to the question of extending down to Main Street Square, we should also talk about the northern termination of the project. Just today, we had a great meeting with the Buffalo Bayou Partnership to talk about the point where Main Street really sort of blends into Allen's Landing. And we look forward to exploring ways in which more space Main Street can sort of radiate into the park and ensure that the northern point of Main Street feels like a gateway to the place that Allen Parkway is, and that Allen Parkway can look up to Main Street and sort of see that as a gateway to downtown. So I do think that that's a point I'd love to sort of emphasize, is we are thinking certainly about the perpendicular opportunities, the points at the start and end of this Main Street, the specific scope of work for More Space Main Street. And we really want to be sure that we're partnering and thoughtfully connecting. And so, I hope that you all stay tuned for how that plays out over the next year.
Kathy, in lieu of other, excuse me, in lieu of other questions, I just wanted to state again what an incredible response we've had to this project from the public agencies and stakeholders, as well as the city and the district. I just wanted to queue up, would you remind people where they can go to find out more and follow the course of the project over the next couple of years?
Absolutely. I have it right here in the chat, ready to go. So I just popped in a link here, and this link will take you to our organization's website. Under our priority projects drop-down option in our menu, we have a dedicated page for More Space Main Street 2.0. On this page, you'll see here underneath the project description, a link to sign up and stay connected about this project. And we'll also send other information out about related planning and capital improvement projects that our organization is working on. And you can also find on this website public workshop boards. So if you joined us at the public workshop event in May, or the one that we just had in October, you are able to revisit those links. And then, of course, tonight's talk, especially if you joined late, or if you know someone who joined and had to leave early, the webinar recording will be posted here so that folks will be able to see this presentation again and our responses to questions. Okay. With that, I will go ahead and wrap up the Q&A portion of tonight. Any final thoughts from any of the team members that are leading this project?
I will just say that this is an exciting project, and I really enjoyed everyone's excitement for the project and willing to collaborate and really work stuff out. So I think there's a lot of potential that will be realized through this.
Agreed on that.
All right. Thank you to Design Workshop. Thank you, David Fields and the City of Houston, and to our staff that made tonight's webinar possible and are here in attendance, to Jackie for leading this, and to all of you for being a part of making sure that this is a community vision and a community-led project. We appreciate you taking some time out of your evening tonight. Please do spread the word to folks and share that link that we just dropped into the chat, and stay tuned for more information coming from us very soon. Thank you all.
You.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thanks.